The War in Heaven. Long before the dawn of mankind, when the stars were still being birthed in the void, the heavens thrummed with the glory of creation. Angels of every rank and order filled the vast celestial realms, singing praises to God, the creator of all things. Chief among them was Lucifer, the light-bringer, the most radiant and powerful of all. He was beloved, both by his fellow angels and by God himself, who had imbued Lucifer with wisdom, beauty, and immense power. Lucifer stood at the pinnacle of creation. He could command the forces of the cosmos with a flick of his hand, shape the very fabric of reality with his voice. The other angels admired him for his gifts and followed his leadership with reverence. But beneath the brilliance of his radiance, something dark was festering. Lucifer, once content in his role, began to ponder his place in the grand design. How could he, a being so magnificent, not be equal to God? The seeds of pride took root in his heart, and the more he gazed upon his own beauty and power, the more he believed that he deserved to rule. Why should I serve, he thought, when I can reign? If I am so mighty, why should I not hold dominion over the heavens and the earth? As time passed, Lucifer's discontent grew, spreading like a slow poison. He whispered his doubts to other angels, those who admired him most. Does not God give us free will? Should we not claim our own destiny, forge our own kingdoms? His words were seductive, filled with a twisted logic that appealed to their pride. Slowly but surely, a third of heaven's hosts rallied to Lucifer's cause, believing they could overthrow the very creator who had given them life. The rebellion was swift and devastating. Heaven was torn asunder by a war unlike anything ever seen, a clash of divine might and angelic fury. Michael, the archangel, led the loyal forces of heaven against Lucifer's rebellious army. The skies were ablaze with the light of their conflict, and the echoes of their battle reverberated through the cosmos. In the end, Lucifer was no match for God's will. Though powerful, even he could not overcome the force of the Creator's design. With a final, decisive blow, Michael cast Lucifer from the heavens, and with him, the rebellious angels. They fell, their glorious wings singed, tumbling into the abyss. Lucifer was no longer the light-bringer, he became Satan, the adversary, the one who would forever be cast in shadow, the moment of judgment. After the great battle, the heavens quieted. The once gleaming army of rebels lay scattered in the darkness below, defeated and broken. But amid the silence, the loyal angels were left with an unsettling question: why had God not stripped Satan of his powers? Why allow the fallen to retain the very abilities that had caused so much destruction? The question gnawed at Michael, who, though victorious, felt uneasy. As he approached the throne of God, he could feel the lingering tension in the air. The other angels, too, seemed to be wondering the same thing, their glowing forms dim with uncertainty. "Father," Michael said, bowing low before the Almighty. His voice was steady, but his heart was heavy. "Lucifer, now Satan, has been cast from your presence. His rebellion is squashed, and yet, he still possesses the power you gave him. Why not take it from him, as a punishment for his betrayal?" God, who was infinite and all-knowing, regarded Michael with deep compassion. The throne shimmered with a light that spoke of mysteries beyond comprehension, a brilliance so pure it could not be looked upon directly. And yet, in this light, there was no anger, no sense of vengeance, only love. "Michael," God's voice resonated, filling the expanse of heaven, "what you ask is a question of justice, but what you do not see is the nature of grace." Michael frowned. "Grace, my lord? But Satan has rejected your grace. He has turned against everything you have built. He sought to destroy the harmony of creation. Should he not be deprived of the gifts that enabled him to do so?" God's voice was patient, as though he had anticipated this question since the beginning of time itself. "Lucifer was my most cherished creation, but he chose his path. His power is not what made him fall, it was his pride. The gifts I give are irrevocable, for they are a part of the being I create. If I were to take back his power, I would undo what he is, and that is not my way." "But surely," Michael pressed, "he will use his power for further evil. He will corrupt the earth, lead humanity astray. With his powers intact, he will continue to spread suffering." God's light flickered, but there was no anger, only a deep, sorrowful understanding. "Yes, he will attempt to do all these things, and much more. But you must understand, Michael, that true power lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the ability to create, to give life, to foster love. What Satan does not yet realize is that his power, though great, is hollow without love, without purpose and service of creation. His rebellion, though painful, is not the end of the story." Michael pondered these words, his wings shifting uneasily. "But what if Satan never learns? What if he continues down this path of destruction, leading souls away from the light? God's response was gentle but firm. Then that will be his burden to bear. His power will become a prison, for without love, it will only bring him misery. The more he strives to conquer, the more he will feel the void in his soul. He will never create anything beautiful, only try to twist what I have made. And in that, he will find no satisfaction. The great test of humanity. As the ages passed, Satan roamed the earth, bitter and vengeful. He sought to corrupt humanity, whispering into their hearts, much as he had done with the angels long ago. With his power intact, he could take on many forms: temptation, deceit, pride, and he relished watching mankind falter. His hatred for humanity was fierce, for they were God's beloved creation, made in his image, with the gift of free will. Yet, for all his efforts, Satan found himself frustrated. No matter how deeply he led humanity into darkness, there were always those who resisted. There were always those who, despite their flaws and weaknesses, chose love over hate, creation over destruction, light over darkness. And with every soul that resisted his temptations, Satan felt the weight of his power grow heavier. He could manipulate, deceive, and destroy, but he could never create. He could never breathe life into the world, never instill hope or joy. He was a being of shadow, and shadows, by their very nature, could only exist where there was light. God watched all of this unfold, not with indifference, but with a deep and abiding love. He had given humanity the power of choice, and in doing so, had allowed them to walk the path of their own making. But he had also given them something else, a spark of divinity, a capacity for redemption that even Satan could not fully comprehend: the meeting in the wilderness. One day, many millennia after his fall, Satan stood on a high mountain, watching the earth below. He had grown weary of his endless quest to sow discord. Despite all his efforts, the world continued to turn, and humanity, though often faltering, still reached for the light. He had come to realize that no matter how much suffering he inflicted, creation always found a way to heal itself. It was then that he felt a presence beside him. He turned, and there stood a figure, radiant but humble, clothed in simple robes. It was the Son of God, Jesus, who had come to walk the earth as man. "You," Satan spat, bitterness twisting his words. "Come to gloat over your precious humanity, have you? They are weak, flawed, and easy to corrupt." Jesus did not respond with anger or condemnation. Instead, he gazed at Satan with a look of infinite sadness, but also of understanding. "I have not come to gloat. I have come to remind you of something you have forgotten." Satan's eyes narrowed. "And what might that be?" "That your power is not what you think it is," Jesus said softly. "You believe it gives you dominion, but in truth, it is a chain that binds you." Satan laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. "A chain? I can bend the wills of men, lead nations to ruin. I have power beyond imagining." "And yet," Jesus said, "you are empty. You have all the power to destroy, but none to create. You can tear down, but you cannot build. You can deceive, but you cannot inspire. What have you gained from your rebellion, Lucifer?" The use of his old name stung. But Satan hid his reaction. "I have gained freedom. Have you?" Jesus asked, his eyes piercing through the adversary's defenses. "Or have you imprisoned yourself in a kingdom of your own making, where you are forever trapped in your own pride, unable to see the beauty of what once was?" For a moment, Satan was silent. Doubt flickered across his mind, a thought he had not allowed himself to entertain in eons. He had power, yes, but at what cost? He had nothing to show for it but destruction, while God's creation continued to thrive despite him. But Satan's pride was too great to admit this, even to himself. This is the untold story no one knows about the pride of Satan and what made him fall to this extent. I must give you a friendly advice: anything you're doing, don't let pride bring you down like Satan. That's why God loves those that bring down themselves, and he tend to bless them the more. If you know you love this video, kindly hit the subscribe button, like, comment your opinion on God's judgment. This channel will open your eyes to make you know unbelievable things you don't know about. Check out for related videos in the description box. Thanks for watching. God bless you.